Hello, welcome
Okay.
to another episode of Suburban Apples. No, I'll stop. I will. Set in lovely New Hampshire. The today's scene takes place actually the final evening of Patrick's Curse. Foregoing the giant time skips that I've been adopting for most of this game, because with the magic of the local living legend sort of ebbing for the moment, other stories are going to have the opportunity to shine through. And we start focusing in on Erica. It's it's close to sunset, and your father has taken you to the park, and you're sitting at the edge of what has now become a rather infamous lake.
Right.
But not for anything you've personally experienced. You've heard rumors, but um, yes, it's not. There's no singing to be heard at the moment, and your father's just kind of sitting off, letting you play because he has not heard the rumors of the mermaids beneath this lake, and so you're there um, at the edge of the water, and your danger sense isn't tingling.
Ooh.
Ooh. But you do feel something sort of luring you to check out the water. There's something tugging at you that feels almost like this is where you belong. There's the beginning of a journey waiting for you. What do you do?
Well, she she looks into the water for a little bit and then she'll reach a hand out to touch the surface of it.
Well, the water is still solid because it's January in New Hampshire and hella cold. But
Yeah.
when you reach to touch the surface of the frozen lake, like an illusion, your hand just goes through the top of the ice. And it not like the water has melted, but as though it vanishes when you touch it.
Her jaw drops a little bit. Uh she looks to see if her dad's watching.
He seems mildly distracted at the moment. Not in that sort of neglectful parent way, but in that everything's been fine for the last, 30 minutes. So I'm going to check my cell phone.
For sure. So, he's not watching, so she's gonna see maybe if the rest of her will go through the water.
As you step towards this lake, you don't get wet. It just sort of obscures you. You look down and you would feel if you were wet, and there's no cold, there's no wet, and beneath you it feels as though the ground is dry. So do you continue until you are
Uh-huh.
completely submerged? All right.
Yep.
Um,
Because
as
this is
you
cool.
as you go under the water, instead of the murk and mire of the lake that everyone else would be privy to, should they submerge themselves, you see a valley where there are numerous women bustling about. And one of them pauses and looks at you for a moment and says, "Welcome back, foundling."
She blinks. Welcome back.
She gives you a friendly smile. "Yes, your mother's been worried sick about you."
And with that, her eyes widen because her mother died when she was a kid. Like, my mother? The woman can tell that she's confused.
Mhm.
Like,
And she goes, "It must be cold up there. Please, come, warm yourself. Have something to eat, and we'll bring you to your mother so that you can reconnect."
Okay.
A couple of other women join these ladies in this lake and lead you to a building. Um, and in the building sits a woman, a roughly middle aged woman with dark hair. And she doesn't look anything specifically like you.
Hmm.
Um, but she regards you with that warm familiarity that says mother to child. And she says, "Beautiful foundling, you've come back."
She takes a step towards her because, yeah, that familiarity, even though she doesn't have any idea what she means by foundling. Um, she kind of tilts her head and looks at her.
And she steps forward and sort of takes a knee and looks at you for a moment and like reaches a hand towards your face. And, "You've changed so much."
Yeah, it's been a long time.
"I haven't seen you since I dropped you off at the bank in so many years." And she stops herself before she actually like touches your face and pulls back. "Did you ever learn your true name?"
Shakes her head. No.
And she considers this for a moment, and the look on her face is one of relief. "It's for the best, then. With your true name, people can harm you. And I've been worried sick about you."
Yeah. Um, Usually I would have by now, but Dad wanted to wait till I was older.
She seems a little confused by that. "Your father's alive?"
Yeah?
Hmm. She doesn't say anything more on the subject, but stands up and heads to a tiny little wood burning stove off in the corner. Um, One of the ladies who was sort of fussing at you um, speaks to her. "Vivian, she came through the lake." And she gives a nod and says, "Well, I always figured she would return home." And she begins to cook a meal. It's a humble meal, but you notice that instead of like reaching or walking across the kitchen as she cooks, it goes a lot faster because she just sort of spends magic and the things retrieve for her. And it's not long before she sets like a hearty bowl of stew in front of you. "Please eat. Tell me of what you've made of yourself."
She will she will sit down and eat. Um I made some friends. Um and we've been on some adventures. She gives a smile at that. Um we're trying to help um some other people. that are they're not. She tries to figure out how to word it. I guess they're kind of in danger. Not immediate danger, but best to get them out of it as soon as we can.
She
Nods.
she gives a serious nod as she sits down across from you at the table. Do you remember the lesson I taught you when I dropped you off?
She thinks for a moment, furrows her brow, and gives her head a little shake.
She doesn't seem disappointed in this, but she continues. You must have two hearts, one of stone to deal with the wicked, and a softer heart to deal with the innocent and suffering, and never confuse the two.
She nods as if, as she's saying it, it sounds a bit familiar, even though she doesn't quite know why. Yeah. Okay. She smiles.
I'm so glad that you've come to visit. All this time, and I've worried about you. You say you have a father. Does he care for you?
Very much. Yes.
And does he have a wife?
No.
She looks sad for Erica.
My I thought well, his wife, my mother, died when I was about 3. So 8 years ago?
She gives a sort of solemn look about that, and I was your mother once. And if you ever find yourself in need of a mother's love or understanding, please come find me.
She stands up and gives her a very big hug.
She just kind of like hugs her tight and strokes her hair a bit. But as before, and again, you do have to leave this place.
Yeah.
And
But I can come back?
she nods.
Okay.
And once you've finished your stew, she leads you back out towards the path that leads to the edge of the lake. And you can see through the veil that hides the valley, the ripple of the water sort of shimmering along the skyline. And you can see the sun setting over the horizon. And you can actually, for the first time since stepping under the lake, you start to feel like the cold slowly returning.
Mm-hmm.
And Vivian has a sort of worried look on her face. She says, we should go quickly. And as you move along the path, it gets colder and colder, and the air actually begins to feel slightly damp. And out of like the corner of your eye, you can actually start seeing the darkness of the lake and the creatures that swim within it. The path itself stays dry, but it's as though you're surrounded by the lake trying to reassert itself.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see just for a moment the thorny fins of one of the mermaids, and she stops her path of swimming and turns to you. and reaches into her mermaid's purse and pulls out a golden cup and sticks out her tongue at you. Her eyes glow hostile. And Vivian gives you a sort of gentle nudge off to the end of the path. And she says, I'll be waiting for you. And as she says that, you find yourself sort of like stumbling onto the bank of the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And outside of the water. As the sun sets, what do you do?
She sits on the bank for a moment, kind of like processing everything that just happened. Um, like, wait, did that actually happen? I'm not.
Your father has been looking around at, since you've been gone for roughly an hour.
Yeah.
And he was searching like in the woods that were near the lake, and he comes back out running frantically. He's got brambles in his hair. Part of his shirt is torn. He sees you on the edge of the bank, and he runs up to you and he scoops you up.
She wraps her arms around him.
And he's fighting back the tears of worry as he just, where were you? You scared the living daylights out of me. Where did you go?
I was in the lake.
And he hugs you and he's like, you're not wet. What do you
I
mean you were in the lake?
know. It's weird. The lake was calling to me, and I went in, and there was a woman there that called herself my mother. Vivian, I think is what they called her.
And he sort of tilts his head. You know that wasn't your mother's name.
I know. She nods. She said that she was my mother once.
And he seems a bit concerned. And as you're telling him this, he's like walking backwards from the edge of the lake.
They called me Foundling.
And he just, well, I'm glad I found you.
Me too. She just hugs him really tightly. Like everything that's happened is now catching up with her, and she's actually a little freaked out.
What?
Like, okay, this was weird, and now I just want to go home.
He leads you back to your car, and he does something that he hasn't done in a long time. Since you're 10 years old, you buckle your own seatbelt, but he buckles it for you this time and makes sure that it's secure and not like choking. That sort of overly concerned parental gestures when you've
Yes.
been terrified for your kid's safety. And
Absolutely.
he gives you a kiss on the forehead before he goes and starts up the car. Are you hungry? Let's go grab something to eat. You get to pick the place, princess.
Sure. And she'll just say the name of like her favorite place that they always go. Wherever that is, probably like a burger place.
And once you're safely out of sight of the lake, you can see him like physically relax a bit.
Mm-hmm.
We should be careful who learns of this little adventure of yours. You'll end up with some sort of nickname, Erica of the Lake or something.
She actually smiles a little bit at that, like she wouldn't actually mind. Um, but she'll nod, of course. Yeah, I won't say too much about it.
And he nods as he pulls into the burger place, and that's where you'll spend the evening until the time skip. Because right now we're going to actually rewind a bit before the sun has started setting. We turn to the Singh home, where Dee, you have received just so many emails from Miss Foz. um, just asking about, well, everything that has happened in Brigham Fowl so far, and requesting that you submit sort of field reports. And
guess she wants to make this more official now, doesn't she? If she's asking for reports.
Well, yes, it's she's she says in one of the emails it has like the format that the reports are supposed to be submitted in, and well, it's certainly not the most exciting read. It does say that it, for the sake of safety and anonymity, pseudonyms are used, and she actually sends a link to a name generator that is only accessible with the satellite freaking modem that she gave you, Satcom. There we go. Yeah, and what it'll do is generate a name that they will be able to trace to you, but others will not be able to know who it is.
Okay. Yeah, she just will send back an email about how she would never ever send any reports. Why would I do that? And then follow that immediately with her first report.
Yes. Do you use the name generator that is recommended to you?
Yeah, I mean, why not follow directions? It is a this is kind of a bit more security stuff in this website. So yeah.
As you enter your real name into the name generator, you notice that it sort of glitches for a moment and gives you an error message.
Okay, try again. I mean, nothing on the internet's perfect.
It only gives you a first name the second time you click on it, and it's the name Anne. But you need a first and last name.
Okay, we'll try one more time.
Finally, something seems to be working as it generates. The lights begin to flicker in your home a bit as it struggles to process a name for you. And
that's way more energy than it should really take for a stupid generator.
So much more. And the name Anne Nancy comes back for you.
Just going to send an email and ask, tried using the name generator. It's acting up.
After a few minutes, you receive an email back that says it's pretty basic HTML random name generator. And
yeah, we'll just be like, it made my lights flicker.
Shouldn't do that. Is the response that finally comes back from Miss Foz, and she says, "I wrote the programming myself."
Just okay. Then the very rather quick response to that will be, "I'm going to see if I can look at it. I'm going to check into it more." just so she's aware if someone's poking about in there that, like, you know, she'll know it's her doing it. Because if she, you know, she's a hacker talking to a bunch of hackers. So,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and she's going to try to see, like, actually see if she can get, like, into the code of this thing. Because she wants to see if she can figure out why it would be draining her energy at her house. So, you know, how is that this thing on the internet possibly connected to her house? That's a little weird.
Mm-hmm. As you go into it, it's like as Foz said, it's basic HTML random name generator. It formulates a name based on like different characters. If you know the first, third, and last letter of the first name are such and such and such, it pulls from different lists. But as like if you roll me a let's go with perception technology. That seems like it'd be a fun one.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't actually remember her stats. Give me 1 second.
Second is granted.
I mean, I have the sheet up at least. That's positive.
Computers is also applicable if you would prefer to roll that. I don't know
I think it's the same, but let me check. Their talent skills. Okay, yeah. So technology is actually better.
All right.
But my specialty doesn't apply.
Rolled away.
I am. Just in like general or whatever? Where are we rolling?
In Suburban Apples.
Okay. One. Unless it's lower diff. Doubt it.
Nah, it would be standard diff. But one's enough to figure out the basics of with your name typed in, it should not, like Ann Nancy should not have been the response generated by this HTML program.
All right. Yeah. She's gonna send off another email just that says like, will you look in there too, because it's not working right. Gave me the wrong name.
And she just sort of sends an email back with, please send me the name you entered.
She does.
And a moment later, there's no response. About 20 minutes later, still no response. About 30 minutes later, your cell phone starts ringing from an unknown number.
This is not the first time that's happened.
No.
Answer it. Is it like a video call again?
No, it's a regular call. But you do, right away you hear, what did you do to my computer system?
You know, I would totally tell you the truth on that question. But you see, I would have to know which time you meant.
When you put your name in, were there other programs? Tell me what other programs were running. Tell me what could have possibly wormed its way into a basic name generator and led to my computer seizing up.
Maybe the same thing that made my lights blink.
Well, I suppose I'll have to look into the HTML. Until then, please feel free to use the name it generated for you before it crapped out on us. What was the name again?
Gertrude P. Gertrudson. Blech. Didn't say that very well out of character.
And she just, well, then I don't understand why it would have crashed. That's absolutely ridiculous. And she's.
I think it might have really been Ann Nancy, which is 2 women's names. A little odd.
That is a little odd. Well, I'm going to try and troubleshoot it on my end. I'll be on Google on my laptop all evening. If you would care to apply your own technological know-how and see which of us comes to a solution first, well, I'd appreciate the assistance.
You got an IM I could use instead of sending really, really slow emails?
She prattles off a phone number. You can text me at this number.
Okay. She will put that in her phone, and she'll be like, okay, I'll start digging too. Maybe one of us will get lucky.
Hopefully.
Unless it's maybe some really strange dreaming-related computer virus. Is the internet becoming alive?
Do you say that to her?
Yeah, she says she
Oh.
totally does.
Oh. I don't know if the internet has. That would be. You ask a lot of questions, Spider.
Well, it's better I ask questions than you ask me questions.
This is true. Less headaches, I suppose. Marge.
I don't know. I don't give myself headaches. But I can probably stop yours for now by getting back on and trying to figure this out.
I appreciate your assistance. And you best of luck. And she hangs up. So, what do you want to do to look up what potential problems there are?
Well, it was somehow connected to her electricity, and then it connected to her like computer basically stopping and wheezing and whatever. There must be something connecting it. This whole thing is pretty magic based anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just computer coding, so it's probably something in relative to grammar and computers.
All right.
So maybe ponder that for a while and see if I can think of anything while I'm looking at various codes and stuff.
Well, it didn't glitch for anyone else, and the programming is very simple. It seems to have been the name itself that caused the problem. Because Ann Nancy should not be a name that can logically be generated by any sort of like actual name. It would have required like an X in one of the letter places, an L, an M, and an ampersand, which
that would have been fun. I could totally make a character whose name is Ampersand.
But Indira Singh definitely should not have generated Ann Nancy. It should have generated probably something along the lines of Gertrude Gertrudenstein or whatever.
Gertrudson.
Gertrudson.
Mitt Gertrudson. There we go. I said it
There
right.
we go.
Yes.
Gertrude McGertrudson.
Right. Then she's pretty sure that Ms. Foz is better with the computers than she is, probably, just because she's older and has had so much more experience.
Mm-hmm.
And also she made that actual code, so she would be the first one to identify if there was an actual code problem.
Mm-hmm.
So what she's going to do is she's going to go to that website,
Mm-hmm.
and she's going to type in first her name and see if anything comes up.
Nothing comes up for Indira Singh.
Okay, then she'll try Ann Nancy.
When you type in Ann Nancy, you know how when you misspell something in Google, it has a "did you mean?"
Yeah.
What you get is, and I'm going to type it here in the side chat because
Is that how it was? So it actually said Ann Nancy, though, right? Like
That's
Ann
how it's pronounced. Mm-hmm.
Okay, she'll follow that link. Well, she'll first look at Ann Nancy first, and then she'll go back to follow the link if there's nothing under Ann Nancy.
Well, Ann Nancy leads to a list of pseudonyms for Anansi. Ann Nancy, Aunt Nancy, Anansi, Anazi, all sort of mispronunciations. There's also, oddly enough, a link to Brer Rabbit on there.
We must bring rabbits into every game.
Well, there is a lot of Anansi stories eventually sort of became rabbit stories, but no, the knowledge of this particular changeling soul is a little light. First off, Puka. So asking this individual questions leads to a lot of like citation needed on the on there. There's a lot of stories that it's like, and then I died. But you're telling me this story. Yeah, but I died. I'm better.
I got better.
Yeah. But there is a story that one of the incarnations of Anansi tells where he became, how he explains all stories belong to him because he earned them. He had to tie a snake to a tree, capture a whole mess of wasps, and bring a panther to a god who was like, good work, Anansi. All the stories are yours now.
I mean, that's a cool story.
Mm-hmm.
But she's not sure. Would it make any sense to think that maybe assuming there's sentience involved here, that maybe it's trying to hint that she should be a storyteller, or that she should be telling her stories to the site, or I don't know. She's kind of baffled. Like, okay, I mean, that's not my thing.
There is an artist's rendering of one of the incarnations of Anansi. And it is a spider. And it has silver eyes.
Yeah, that catches her. She just stops and stares at it. If she had remembrance, I would have her roll it right about now, because she's kind of thinking that might be one of her former lives.
Mm-hmm. There's certainly a lot of stuff hinting at that. The most recent Anansi incarnation they have on file actually died the year you were born.
Okay, so I'm going to text her the link of especially that picture with with the name on it, and just type underneath it that says Ann Nancy equals Anansi.
A moment later, she sends you a link to, well, the homepage, and she says, click on the About Us link.
Do it.
When you click on the About Us, it tells the history of the stories past. And it speaks of the founders who gather these stories, and the belief that we might all actually be incarnations of famous stories, some forgotten, some very well remembered, and depending on how well remembered our story is how strongly it can assert ourselves. And one of the founding members was a woman by the name of Anne. Annie C. is what she's listed as.
Okay. Is that actually like a link to her to get more information, or is it just?
Well, there's like a picture, like it's artist rendering since photos don't exactly capture fame names.
Right.
But yeah, there's an artist illustration, and it's like the founders, and it is another spider puka.
with silver eyes.
Well, the picture's in black and white, but you can,
Fair enough.
yeah, you can wag it.
Well, the spider thing, it's not like there's a whole, it's not like spider puka are all that common anyway.
Very uncommon.
And so with that, she will just send a PM back of, maybe it was fate that I found you.
In response, the dreaming does love a good story. And as you've been working through this programming, you notice that the sun is setting in your window. And the lights sort of flicker, and you get another message on your phone. It says, "Oh, the site's back up."
And the lights also flickered again.
Curious.
Did your computer act up?
Well, it just came back on, is what.
Right. All right. I'm gonna dig through the site some more. See if I can find anything that now that it's back up, I wonder if something's changed in there.
Are you going to retest the name generator?
She's gonna actually look into the like look in the actual like website, not the name generator yet.
Mm-hmm.
Before she's gonna do this before that. She's gonna like type in that that Ann Nancy thing again and see if it comes up the same way it did before.
It does still lead to Anansi.
Okay, and basically it just looks the same?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it doesn't, as far as I can tell, nothing's changed there. So yeah, she'll try the name generator again, but she's going to warn Ms. Foz that she's doing so before she does it. She's like, I'm going to try the name generator again.
And she responds, "I'll brace myself." This time, there is no glitch when you input your name, and instead it generates Gertrude McGertrudson.
She's like, okay, sentience established. That's what she sends to her.
Just a whole bunch of question marks sent back to her.
She's going to take a screenshot of her screen.
And
send it to her.
The response comes back, "I look forward to reading your articles, Ms. McGertrudeston."
I prefer Anne.
And she responds, "If you use Anne, let me know ahead of time so I can adjust our files."
Can you just give them both as my name and then we'll confuse everybody?
Seems on brand. And even through text, it seems as though it's coming out of the mouth of somebody who doesn't know how to use the slang.
Well, so she's kind of considering this to be like crisis. She's kind of figuring at this point, kind of like crisis averted for the moment. Maybe not forever, but at least for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to go back and read pretty much anything she can find on Ann Nancy and Nancy. She's basically going to bury herself in reading all this stuff. Because if it is one of her past lives, something might click.
Mm-hmm. Well, Anansi was regarded as a god.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
On brand.
The god of stories. And not to hammer too heavily on the point, but yeah, there's relationships with birds and savanna wildlife associated with Anansi. A lot of children's stories and a lot that were brought over from Africa were adjusted to Brother Rabbit or Brer Rabbit. And there's actually like a very crudely drawn like on the Stories Past website, and it's like artist rendering, and you can tell it's somebody being a wise ass, and it's a spider wearing like bunny ears.
Now she wants to go find some bunny ears she can wear. Spider, it's even better if there's some spider-sized pair too.
I mean, I don't know where it would sell such a weird thing, but
Yeah, it is a weird place, guys.
yes, but yeah, there's like a lot of children's stories. The Tar Baby, some fishing stories, Anansi selling his dead mother-in-law. Just really, really weird stories overall.
Yeah, that's a little creepy.
Yeah, they're worth a read in your spare time. They would take quite a few hours to get through, and
she'll do the skimming version, looking for anything that might look familiar is what she's trying to do.
A love of stories, which I'm going to go ahead and tie to your, I believe your academic specialty is
classic literature.
Mm-hmm. So the love of stories is one that carries through. Mischief and pranks. Sometimes Anansi is a spider. Sometimes he's a man. Sometimes he's a man with 8 legs. So
I want to be a man with 8 legs.
Maybe at one point you were.
Awesome.
But yes, some of the things do seem to like sort of hit on like the puka love of mischief, and definitely tall tales. And that one picture with the silver eyes, well, that pretty much is the biggest clue that you're looking at in a past incarnation.
In my past life, I was a goddess. Well, god maybe. I might have been a god. Doesn't have to be a woman.
Who knows what you're going to be?
Exactly.
It's all a crapshoot. So we're going to go ahead and do a slight time jump. Just 24 hours later, and it's another snow day. Fresh snow has fallen. Kids are out and about, leaving Marcia's house with a bump on his head from the other day.
Is Patrick, and Patrick is moving light as a feather once again. As a matter of fact, he like opens the window from Marcia's home and slides down. I mean, rather than going through the logical way of like, you know, going through the front door and bursting out, basically he feels alive. He feels that crow inside him, and he jumps out the window and swings onto the drain pipe and swings on down, like, you know, full breakneck speed, and just tumbles through the snow all there, just getting snow everywhere, as he's just laughing because he feels like himself again.
And Dee and Erica being part of this neighborhood, you can hear Patrick laughing and causing a general ruckus just outside your homes.
I'm back! Oh, how clever of me!
I'm pondering whether I should go say hi or put on earplugs.
Well, one will definitely be a little more of an interesting story.
I mean, yeah, probably.
I always say err on the side of narrative. So.
Oh, goodness.
Well, Erica certainly will go investigate.
And Patrick's actually like taking the moment as he's like, you know, he's making snow angels in Marcia's yard right now here for, you know, out of happiness before he gets up, and there's a ding. Oh yeah, and he's starting to like, you know, he's got the bandages on around his head, but he's starting to like, you know, take them off.
Are you bunking with that?
Oh, not just yet. I will be bunking soon.
Okay.
Yeah. But he's like, he's struggling to try and take it off for the moment. But it's like Marcy had probably tied it on pretty well, so it's taking
Doing
a
that
little bit
thing
of
where
effort.
it's yanking your forehead upward.
Yep.
Well, you said you were leaving to go see what the commotion was about, Erica?
Yep.
All right. Well, you see Patrick yanking on bandages on his head. And Patrick, you see Erica.
Oh, hi, Erica. How's it going? He says as he's still going.
Good. What happened to you?
Oh, I bumped my head.
Okay. It looks like a little bit more than a bump, but okay.
He sort of shrugs. Tried to bandage it myself, didn't work. And he says as he goes there, but I think I can fix it now. He says as he's like pulling at it, still, and finally he's like, "Ow, ow, ow!" And bits of his hair are like clinging to it and stuff because it's wrapped all around and whatever. And finally he gets it.
Jaw just drops a little bit. Like, shakes her head.
And there's a very it's a sizable. I mean, it's been 24 hours, but it is a sizable goose egg right on his forehead area.
Yeah.
Mm. And he starts picking up snow and starts patting it together to around for just a moment before taking it and just starting to pat ice and snow over his head, around it, and stuff like that.
She giggles at that. She'll pick up snow and help him.
yeah. We're gonna make myself. We'll just fully encase my head. That's gonna be great.
We'll just make you into a snowman. It's okay.
Excellent. Yeah. Let's do that. That'll be even better. Come on. He says. I'll stand perfectly still. And it's a little hard for him, even with his energy. He's out holding still, but there's patting around his legs and stuff like that. And they're starting to
Erica's just gonna have fun putting snow on Patrick. Great.
You can look out and see that this is going on if you want to choose.
Well, I'm guessing. What I'm gonna say is she probably stayed up pretty late last night just reading all the stories, because that would take a while. And so I'm thinking she probably, after getting a little bit of sleep, is kind of bleary and is going to she's gonna go for she's basically gonna walk into the kitchen and get coffee, and then she's gonna slowly get dressed, like she's being super lazy. Slowly get dressed upstairs, and then she's going to walk outside and just kind of watch from the front porch. Well, she's dressed for the weather and everything, but she's just kind of leaning against the front post of the porch and drinking her coffee while watching these two kids.
For the first time since you've known him, you see Patrick with an injury, and he and Erica are crafting a snowman out of him.
Yeah, they've probably got at least up to the waist by this point, but they're still, still going. Come on, we got to pack this all in.
Yep.
He's still trying. He's doing his best to lean over, but every time he does, it's slightly ruining it. So eventually, he's having to give up and just let her do the rest of the, the patting down.
Dee's actually just watching basically because she wants to see how long Patrick will actually stay still.
That's partially why Erica's doing it too. Like, how long can I get Patrick to stand here?
So yeah, she's watching from far away. She's not hiding from anybody, but she's also not right up there with you.
And that's happening there. He's like, "Oh, hi, Dee."
So
Erica looks over, waves.
She'll wave back.
I'm making Patrick into a snowman. You want to help?
It looks like the warmest thing that you could possibly be doing.
He bumped his head, so he wants to be cold.
And that makes
perfect sense. Right?
And that makes the most sense of anything Patrick's ever said.
It probably does.
Or turn me into a snowman, and then I'm going to come out a real boy.
Okay,
so
Pinocchio.
now you're Pinocchio?
No, I'm not. I'm Peter Pan. He says as he just keeps helping, well, doing what he can to help with the snow, but it's it's not much. But
She's just sort of gonna sort of slowly start walking over there.
Mhm.
Like it's really just kind of like she's not actually gonna get involved with the snow part. She's fine standing in it, but she's not gonna bury her hands in it. And she just looks at him and she's like, "It's okay. You can be Peter Pan because I'm a god.
Oh, you are.
I am."
That's awesome. What do you do?
Well, you see, I'm still trying to work out all of the details of that. But it definitely isn't going to include the two of you needing to grovel at my feet.
Erica raises an eyebrow. Like, what? Like, in the back of her mind, her she sense is tingling.
Hands starting to go up. No. I will let the impudence slide. What is happening right now?
She just nods sagely, like, mm-hmm.
Well, can you smite people?
Working on it.
Awesome. We'll need you to smite Hook later, he says as he's like up to his neck in snow now.
Might be better to find his weakness and work that way.
Well, we know where he is now.
We do?
Yeah. He's in the Children's Wellness Center.
That's right, yeah. She shakes her head. Sorry, I had an interesting day yesterday. Was it the day before this one? Or was it a week ago
yesterday.
Or whatever? Yesterday.
Literally,
yeah.
yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, I had an interesting day yesterday.
Oh?
I walked into the lake.
Did you see the mermaids?
On my way out, yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't tell them you were my friend, so it's probably better that you didn't meet them at that time.
I was protected.
Oh?
Mm-hmm.
Must be nice.
Yeah, someone named Vivian said that she was my mother.
Your mom lives in the lake? That's weird.
Apparently.
Well, what did your mom do? Did you swim around in the lake or anything like that? He says, he's up to his neck now, and he's still like shivering and stuff, but the stuff's getting patted.
No, it was like a valley in there, and it was
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, that
like,
sounds
in the lake.
awesome.
I didn't get wet, and I didn't start to get cold until I left.
Totally not the dreaming at all.
No, she shakes her head and laughs. I'm not exactly sure what to think about it. But I was gone for a while. My dad was worried.
Well, you're a god. Well, you're a god. He says he starts to tilt his head back, but of course that causes some of the snow to go. It's like, oops.
Mm-hmm.
He just goes back to it, and the padding has to start over again. Well, you're a god, and you're born from and your mom lives in the lake. That's really cool. Can I meet your mom sometime?
Probably. She shrugs. I didn't ask if I could bring friends. I'm sure I probably could.
Well, I told the mermaids I'd bring friends sometime, and as long as they know you're my friend, everything should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly how that works with the mermaids. Totally didn't attack me at all.
I told them you were my friend. I don't know who that other guy was.
He's my friend.
Not mine.
So? He wasn't there hurting you.
I don't know who he was, he said as he...
I introduced you.
he sort of looks quizzically like, like that seems suspect.
I'm a good friend. I don't leave my friends behind.
And he his eyes sort of narrow for a brief moment.
And then she's while his eyes are narrowing, she's just going to kind of sigh and be like, "I'm sorry. We already talked about this.
I could put you back." And there's a brief moment his eyes flash gold.
Yeah.
In contrast to her silver.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, "Really? Because I thought we already had this discussion and I just apologized. But don't threaten me again."
Huh? His eyes blink and they're completely back to green. Huh?
Yeah. You got problems.
Yeah, that's why I'm in a snowman. I'm trying to fix them.
Oh, so a head injury gave you a second personality?
He sure is like, he just he goes, huh?
And she's going to look to Erica and be like, "You heard that too, right?"
Yeah. Patrick, Yeah, there's something going on, but I don't know what.
Because you're still the person who I've put my life on the line for.
And he's like, his head's getting patted over, and his mouth hasn't been completely full yet, but he's trying his best to hold still while the patting is going down. He's having to like close his eyes for a moment as like some's getting patted onto one eye.
She's not gonna cover his eyes, but she encases his head in snow.
Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 And now he closes his eyes and he thinks real hard of bursting out like a real boy, and now this whole thing has been this bunk for spring.
I'll give it the 3 for
3.
how long it's taken.
Yes.
Yeah, so Erica will step back. Like, okay, finished.
All right, let me get my dice. One moment. Sorry, my thing. So, diff
5.
Diff 5, yes. So 3 successes. So he's gonna be having all that healing magic for quite a while.
Yeah, it's the bump lowers itself.
And he just comes out of the snow, and he sort of like pirouettes around, sending snow everywhere. Good as new, he says.
Covered in snow.
Yep.
On a January in New Hampshire.
Yep.
Good.
It's gonna be.
Choices. Do you want some hot chocolate? You look cold.
Oh, I love the hot chocolate. He says as he's like, as he starts, and it's in that sort of impulsiveness, like he's automatically going in a direction before everyone goes, "Wait, we didn't even say where we're going."
No, we're still right by your house. She'll be like, "I'm going to my house. I don't know where you're going."
Oh, okay. He says as he immediately like he sort of like cartwheels around to send himself back in the other direction, and starts rushing across the road, not even looking twice, the bastard.
Well, yeah. So she'll just kind of look to Erica and just be like, "You can come too. I just want to get him warm."
She nods. Okay, thanks.
She'll head over to the house and basically walk in through like the back door into the kitchen and start making up hot chocolate. She's hoping, obviously the kids will come in and that way he can warm up too. She knows she has to sneak things with Patrick. She has to make them sound fun before he'll do them.
Right.
So yeah, she's in the kitchen basically, she's actually just going to make the packet kind but she has to put a teapot on first, to get the water. So
teapot. Some stuff has gone down in the past couple of days. Maybe that stirs up some thoughts so you can so much.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we got Ted's teapot back.
Okay.
Yeah, Emma took it, but then we got it back.
Wish we could get Emma back.
Well, she's in the Children's Wellness Center now. That's what we're going to try and find out a way to do.
I meant the real Emma. The one that isn't that she.
And Protector just looks at her and goes, Hook has her. Doesn't matter if it's the one Emma or the other, Hook has her.
She nods, because that's certainly true enough.
Erica, you were there when they found Emma.
Yep.
And how do you feel hearing about that night again? Any visual response from you?
Yeah, she flinches a bit, and gives Patrick a somber look.
You would know this because Vin lives across the street from you. There's been police tape around Vin's home for the past couple of weeks, or about 2 weeks now, I guess.
If that's the case, she probably would have checked into that a long time before now.
Okay. I'm going to just go ahead and do a gimme for this. He was murdered. And the daughter was relinquished to the Children's Wellness Center as custody of the state.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
She would actually be interested in trying to find her mom, see if they can find her to do something about this.
It could be
or whatever, who faded or whatever she was.
Mm-hmm.
Even that's better. That even having a mortal mom is better than being there.
Mm. Vin never said anything about her. The only information you really have is what little information Emma gave.
Which I'm sure she said something about a satyr.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what else right now.
She was a dancer.
Okay. She actually, and do we know where Vin was from?
Where
he moved from?
I don't know if you guys would have discussed it with Vin, where he was originally from. But he was originally in, I want to say Connecticut? No.
I could probably research enough to find that information out. I could probably talk to my dad. My dad might probably know that or something.
Yeah.
So she's just gonna look down and just be like, "Think we can find her mom?"
It's like he sort of shrugs. I don't know. She was very sad whenever she talked about her mom.
Maybe we can make her remember. And then she might not be sad then Emma might not be sad when she sees her mom.
Remember what?
I thought that I may or may not have heard that she might have faded.
Huh?
You know how you forgot that you were Peter Pan?
He just surrounds his he's just like, I never forgot. I just didn't know.
Because you forgot.
Nuh-uh.
Uh-huh.
How could I forget something I didn't know?
You did know in the back of your head. You just needed a really good reminder. Well, that's kind of what happened. She's forgotten. At least I think she's forgotten. I'm remembering right. I think she's forgotten what she is.
He's just sort of puzzled and just like he's just looking at that. That doesn't say. It's just like, how could you forget when you don't know? You don't know. He's just like,
Well, you don't have to agree with me on what happened with you, but you can understand where I'm coming from, right? Regarding her mom, if her mom is forgotten.
and he's just sort of. He sort of frowns at that as he's thinking about it.
I mean, it'd be nice to make her remember again, right? So that she can come and take Emma. And then she wouldn't have to be there.
And there's a sort of look on his face as he's like sort of staring off into the distance for a moment. It's about like having been for mothers forgetting. And it's like, oh no, mothers do tend to forget.
Mine doesn't.
Erica shakes her head. Well, no matter how far away, a mother never forgets her child.
Me sure as hell remembered you. You don't even have the same face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like, Dee kind of looks at her sympathetically with that.
And Patrick's just sort of frowns at that one. Oh no.
Wouldn't that be better than being in the wellness center?
I think
Right.
so.
Probably.
Me too. So, when I get a chance, I'm gonna see if I can. I'll see if I can get more information. Try to get my dad to tell me what he knows, since he hangs out with all those grown-up people. And
And sort of rolls his eyes.
hey, sometimes I'm just thinking about what's best for Emma, regardless of who she is at the moment.
I don't think her being in the wellness center is a good thing, because that place is... Erica just shakes her head like, this is a bad place.
The best place in the world?
Yeah, the best place in the world.
Oh
No, it's not. Hook's there. And it's never a good place.
Oh, that was sarcasm, Patrick.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, I was being sarcastic.
Oh,
I don't
cool.
know. I mean,
Oh, cool.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm never sarcastic.
The other thing that I have forgotten to mention is you would have felt the cold wave of banality of a small freehold being destroyed in the area when Vin died.
Yeah, that would have sucked. It's right across the street.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay, so yeah, she's just going to be like, by now probably the water would have been boiling, so she's gonna, like mix up some hot chocolates for the two kids. She's gonna stick with her coffee, but yeah, so she'll mix them up and set them on the table, and see if she can find some cookies in the cupboard somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And assuming she probably can, because let's face it, she probably would have them there, even if her mom didn't have them or whatever. So yeah, she kind of pulls out like these chocolate chip cookies and sets them out too, and she's like, "Here you go, guys. Enjoy."
Awesome. He says as he like grabs 3. No, just poor impulse control, just going for him.
But while they're eating and she's sipping her coffee, she's going to is her dad probably working? He's a writer, so if he is working, he'd probably be in the study, right? Or is he home?
Yes, he'd be in the study.
Okay. So she's just going to be like, I'll be right back. And she's going to turn and walk towards the study to ask him if he, she'll knock on the door before opening it because she knows how artists can be.
Come on in.
Good thing I didn't ask if I could come in. As she goes in.
He looks up from his... He has a typewriter because he has sort of an affection for those old-timey things with panache. And he just gives a smile. I was writing a love letter to your mother.
Please totally read it out loud. That's exactly what I need. Can I ask you a question? Except maybe tell you what the question is instead of ask it.
He just sort of blinks with this like bird eye blinks. I don't see how I can stop you.
You knew Vin. What did you know of Emma's mom? And obviously, yeah, I asked that. I'm sorry.
Well, as much as Vin loved to prattle off about his past indiscretions with me, I have to say that what I know about his mom could just about fill a thimble.
Could you... I would love it if you could point me in the right direction of someone who might know more.
I suppose the girl's birth certificate might have some sort of information.
Then I would need to know where he came from.
Well, wasn't she registered at the local school?
I don't know why anybody would ever go to school. That's crazy.
Well, hoodlums. This entire town's full of them. They're always running amok, all sorts of shenanigans, making snow angels in spite of the F8 or the HOA's distinct instructions not to.
Yes, I am truly running amok. It is what I do best.
So it's how you were raised. And he gives kind of a grin.
I blame Mom.
She is the scoundrel of the two of us.
She's the muckiest muck that I've ever seen.
I'm sure she'd love to hear you say that.
She would, actually. She'd laugh.
He just gives a smile. Well, I'm hoping for sounds other than laughter once I give her this letter.
I'm hoping I won't be here.
One day you're going to find somebody. It's in your blood.
I mean, there's a lot of things in my blood, including things like bacteria and viruses. I don't necessarily have to, love all of them.
When did I raise such a cynical daughter?
Not cynical, just, maybe don't need to hear this stuff. La 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 la, as she puts her fingers in her ears and runs out of the room.
So yeah. The best bit of information gleaned from that is she was probably registered at the local public school.
She would know which school. That's not too hard to figure out, really.
Yeah, there's only one elementary between San Alapias and Briggenfowl.
Right.
It's not until high school, when everybody's super judgy anyways, that they split up the kids.
She's going to walk back out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I'm walking back out to, though, if they got into some shenanigans while she was gone or not.
Oh. Not only are all the cookies gone, I'm sure. But at the very least, not all of them have been eaten, though. The majority of them are being stacked up into a tower to see how high they can make it go.
Yay!
Yeah.
Cookies are known for their fortification as they fall to the ground.
Exactly. This is like the 5th attempt.
There are definitely cookie crumbs all over the kitchen floor. At least 1 or 2 of the cookies did not survive their tumble.
Well, she will snag one of the cookies from the table and sit back down. We need to get a look at her birth certificate.
What's that?
The piece of paper that makes you official when you're born, I think, or maybe it's just like the proof of the fact that she came out of an egg.
He sort of nods at that.
But it should
boys
have
and girls
information
are
about the mom.
Boys and girls are part bird.
Absolutely, except when they're spiders.
Spiders come out of eggs.
Do we? As she kind of leans forward, kind of blinking all of her eyes, because she has bunches of it. She has like 8 eyes, doesn't she? Blinks all of her eyes at him.
Oh yeah, I mean, I found. I mean, there was lots of stuff. Like sometimes they just lay their eggs all in the joints of the circus tents and everything like that. Especially if they hadn't been used in a long time. I popped one once, and like thousands of spiders came out of it.
I am sure that somebody really enjoyed that.
I did.
I would have, but I'm not. I am the most normal person here, so.
And his eyes sort of narrow that, like,
Yeah, even Erica looks sus at that statement. Like, all right.
She just keeps a straight face because she's used to saying really stupid things like that.
Like, and then like Erica's brain goes, right, she's a puka.
Patrick shrugs. It's like, well, I mean, we can search for the birth certificate, but we really got to think about making an army to fight Hook at the wellness center.
Do we want to fight him at the wellness center, or do we want to draw him out?
See, what I was thinking would be even better idea is maybe getting Emma out first, so she's not collateral damage.
Yeah, Erica nods in agreement. Like, yeah, of course. Like, of course we want to get him out first.
Well, we can combine that as a rescue effort.
No, but see, that's why I want to find her mother, because her mother would have rights that she could try to get her out.
Right, the legal way, which would probably be the best way to do it. But she looks at Patrick like, I know how you operate.
Like, I mean, I got Agnes out of there just fine. Need no legal way to do it.
Yes, but that would only be a temporary fix if the cops found her.
Well, they won't find her.
Then
They haven't found Agnes. She's with Ted now.
And you assume everything's going to go exactly the way you think it will?
Of course. We go in there, we fight, I win, Hook's defeated, everything goes back to normal.
What's normal?
I don't know, but Hook's not part of it.
Actually, Hook is in many stories involving you. I feel like that could be considered your normal.
How many stories?
Well, actually, precisely, and she'll give a number that is not the correct number.
Really? Can I see them all?
Well, it is kind of on a source that I'm not really able to show you. You know, my buddy that got in touch
that's
with me.
fine. You don't have to show me. You can just tell me. Read a book to me or something.
I can tell you some stories.
Yeah. Good. Do you have it? Let's go do it. Let's see it.
You're going to have to test my memory, because I'm not going to let you onto that website. I think somebody might be really mad.
Well, you do have the first edition Peter Pan signed by J.M. Barrie.
Yeah, but I mean, she's also read some of the other stories, so you know what? She's going to test herself and see if she actually is a story god.
Okay.
See if you can remember all the stuff you read.
Yeah, yeah. Let me. I don't have anything involving storytelling or expression, but could I maybe roll like, I don't know, intelligence to see how good my memory is on it?
Let's see. Let me see what would be a good combo for it. Let's see. You don't have expression.
I don't think so. No.
But you do have academics, classic literature.
This is
true. How about, because this seems like an interesting blend as well, charisma academics with your specialty in literature to tell an interesting story. From memory of literature.
Wow. 3 dice with a specialty. Realize how weird that is?
How do you only have 1 dot in charisma? You're a polka.
No, I have 2. I only have 1 in academics.
Oh, okay.
She has more manipulation than charisma.
Oh, okay.
3 dice with a specialty. That's so awkward.
Well,
I got 1. I remember something.
No, 3, because the 10 explodes because you have your specialty.
Oh, that's right. Well, I suppose it'd be 2 then. Just
you got
2.
2.
I got a 1.
Yes, 2 successes.
So she starts spilling off. You can pick out a couple of stories that would have been on the website, not in the book, because she can get to those easily.
You tell the story of Sarah from A Little Princess.
I love that movie and the book. It's so good.
As you're telling the story about, Sarah as the little princess and stuff like that, you actually, Patrick, it takes a while because you're in the middle of the story, but you realize there's still those beautiful green eyes staring up at you, but it's a young girl now with the same golden hair as Sarah, and torn sort of dress, but still some leafy aesthetics and green as she's just staring up at you, listening to the story.
She's just going to keep telling the story. She will continue it as much as she can remember of it. And then when it's done, she will kind of pause for a second and just be like, I see you remember.
And it shrugs, and it's turning back to Pat, and she says, and it says in Patrick's, not Patrick's voice, in the young girl's voice, some somewhat proper English sort of thing. It's just like not all the details were right, she said, and then suddenly it's just Pat, and as she shrugs, she's Patrick again.
Well, if you remember better than me, that's completely fine.
Well, tell me another one.
There were a lot of stories I have access to on you. I specifically read up on you.
Well, then tell me. Tell me more. Read me some. I want to know.
Well, I'm only going to tell you one more, and then we should probably do something else other than sit in here. Because there are so many stories, I could be here for days. And this way, you have more to look forward to, don't you?
Well, how many of them have Hook?
Well, I mean, wouldn't you say Miss what was it, Miss Minchin?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Would you say Miss Minchin was Hook? Because I think so.
He sort of shakes his head. Sort of. That wasn't him.
Why?
Because I know.
How do you know?
Because I know.
How do you know?
And he's just, I just do. And last time I tried to remember, I blacked out. And it hurt. I fell down on Ted.
A second ago, you definitely remembered.
Then tell me more stories.
one more today, and then one for another. Then the rest will be another day. And yeah, she'll pick some other thing out to tell the story to.
Roll me straight intelligence to see which one springs to mind first.
Okay. Let me see what I do have a spatiality. I don't know if that would apply though, so I'm going to look. Analytical. That really probably actually it might if she's trying to pick and choose between stories.
Yeah.
Which one might have the most effect on him or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If there's one with hook in it, she'd probably pick that one for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we roll. Blech.
Okay. For whatever reason, the immediate story that springs to mind mentions Hook more than the boy, and it's a very brief paragraph that said, not sure who boy was, but J.A.H. immediately dispatched without prejudice.
She'll pretty much use exact words. There's no point in doctoring it for a small child here because he's more than just a small child.
Mm-hmm.
So she'll say it just like exactly as much as she can remember.
There's no shift. There's a frown on his face, and he's just like, I don't remember that one.
Sometimes these things take time. But I will do my best and research some more stories for you.
All right.
That's how I think, how I found out that I might have once been a god. Was looking through those stories.
Patrick, roll willpower for curiosity.
I will.
Because that kind of sounds like a neat way to find things out. Even
Yes,
if you don't have the patience to research for long.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Let's see here. Stiff 8 if I recall to resist.
Jesus.
I mean, I know I succeeded. It's just one of those ones where it's like, considering how on brand he is, but for the first time in a while he's like, okay, she said to be patient, she'll tell me more. It's like, well, that's cool. Oh, do you think there's anything that might be for Erica? If you're a god and there's stories about me, maybe there's stories about Erica.
Maybe. And she'll look at Erica and be like, I mean, if you know anything more about yourself, I'm happy to look.
She thinks for a moment. I don't know how much she would actually know.
Well, you remember you have access to anything that happened in the lake.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
She'll just tell her what happened in the lake. About them calling her a foundling and Vivian and all of that happening. And then the comment her father made about being careful of who she tells about it, or people might start calling her Erica of the Lake.
Well, that sounds fun.
Do you guys know where that comes from? Because I feel she would know that with the classic literature thing she had going on in academics.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too hard to know about Vivian and the Lady of the Lake.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Erica's in 6th grade. I don't know if she'd know about that yet or not.
Patrick, who has never had a classic school upbringing, definitely does not know.
Well, there is actually an age-appropriate movie that I could show you that might actually help you with this a little bit.
Oh?
She nods and walks into the living room where I'm going to assume there's probably a fair amount of Disney movies left from when they were kids.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to rummage about a bit and pull out one for what was it called?
The Sword and the Stone?
Thank you. I kept thinking sword, but I couldn't think of the rest of it.
Oh
but
yeah,
she's
the
just pull out
Sword and
and
the
Stone.
Stone. I love that movie.
Yeah. And she's going to pull that out and hold it up. And she'll say, this is completely not based on any legends whatsoever, including something that sounds like what you just told me.
Well,
Okay.
movies are fun, but I'd rather hear you tell the story.
Well, I haven't read the stories in quite a while, but it has to do with a king by the name of Arthur.
Roll remembrance, Erica.
Okay.
Int and remembrance. Go.
Woot.
Is it just remembrance or intelligence too?
Go with intelligence, remembrance. Buff up that
Okay.
dice pool.
All right, awesome. So that gives me 5 dice to roll instead of just 2.
Mm-hmm.
Do better than Patrick. What's her diff?
Well, I don't know. Let's go with standard diff.
Okay.
Because you haven't botched that roll yet, so
Unlike someone in this game. Oh, that's me.
I got 2 successes.
Excellent. You look at the image of young Arthur on the front of that DVD case or video case or whatever it is. And instead of feeling like, yes, this is me, first you have this sort of feeling of like, I'm looking at an old friend. And then, oddly enough, the feeling of guilt.
Okay. So yeah, her whole demeanor changes when she sees the cover of the movie. She like touches it with a familiarity, and then Dee will definitely pick up the guilt that kind of washes over her momentarily. I know Arthur. I don't know how, but I know him.
Some of
happened.
this sounds like I'm on the right track. The
She
Lady
nods.
of the Lake. The Lady of the Lake was the name of someone, the person who gave Arthur his magic sword. And she lived in a lake. And the sword is what foretold that he was going to become a great king.
So, the Arthur wasn't born from the Lady of the Lake?
Of course he was. He was completely born from the Lady of the Lake, or potentially from somebody else. He was born of a king and a king's wife. Well, later wife. And it was messy. It was very messy, and a lot of adult things happened. But
Oh, that's boring.
yeah. But there's better parts later, because he is the once and future king. He is
So Erica's king or queen?
I don't know if she's actually Arthur. I have a feeling that perhaps she might perhaps be Nimue? Or Morgan Le Fay?
Erica's eyes widen a little bit.
She's trying. Yeah, Dia's watching for reactions as she throws out other words.
Right.
You can roll your remembrance again, diff 7 for both of
Okay.
By the way, I love the name Nimue, just for the record. If I had a kid, I swear I'd name it.
Oh yeah, I do too. It's great.
It's a great one. Ah,
Nope.
Nope.
I failed.
It's
Those
just not a bunch.
none of those names ring any bell to you. Not as like that's not me or that is me. So it's just
It's a neutral.
yeah,
Just
like
a neutral expression. Like they sound interesting to her, but she doesn't. There's no recognition one way or another.
yeah, none of those are ringing any bells.
well, were either of them born from a lake?
She's kind of thinking, and actually she's going to pull out her phone and look up, because there are websites full of Arthurian stories.
Yep.
I know this for a fact because I've gotten lost in them many a time. So
I am too out of character. I have to be careful not to feed Erica with my knowledge, because this is one of my favorites. Like
I've always loved Arthur. I wrote a paper on the legends of King Arthur, like my
That's
big
awesome.
20 page paper that my thesis to graduate college.
Yes, that's amazing. I would, for the record, love to read that at some point.
If I can find it again, I will happily send it to you.
Awesome.
But yes, so yeah, she's gonna start flipping through and see if she can find out if because I'm not remembering, like, if there's Morgan Le Fay. I know Uther Pendragon. I can't remember the name of the mom right now. I know she was married to somebody else.
Well, what are you specifically looking for? Like what are you searching with, and then I'll tell you what if I can feed you the correct information or incorrect information.
Whichever.
Yeah.
Whichever that is. How good is my computer skill today?
Yes, let's see. Actually, go ahead and roll intelligence computer for relative research skills, I guess.
Two.
2 successes. It takes you a while to come up with a few things before you land on like the various knights of the Round Table.
Yeah, there's like Gawain and Lancelot. She's going to kind of just start listing off Guinevere.
Lancelot on this list that you find is listed as Sir Lancelot du Lac.
Yes, because it's the French version.
Yes. Erica, do you have languages by any chance?
I
mean, I know what that means, and I don't speak French.
She's a small child.
No, I mean she's got 1 dot of academics that I never chose an area for. Could be, but no, she's got. There are no languages on her sheet.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, if you're reading them out loud, roll me another remembrance intelligence roll then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah. Time to have your fucking epiphany moment now.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
As you read out, as you hear the words Sir Lancelot du Lac,
yep.
Like you know what du lac means, even though you don't know French.
Right.
And yeah, and just yes, that's you remember. And you remember a love of Queen Guinevere and the guilt that it weighed on your heart. You remember that speech that your mother told you, Vivian.
Mm-hmm.
Mother Vivian told you about needing 2 hearts. And for a moment, it all floods back, and it's almost disorienting because you feel as though you should be speaking a version of English that just doesn't quite mesh anymore.
Yeah, English is like the worst. Oh. It's like its own language compared to what we speak now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, those memories flooding her, she does even probably look disoriented. I'd say that she'd probably stumble just a little bit, like, holy crap. It takes her a minute
I
to.
mean, if you're like you're gonna sort of fall or something, she'd try to grab you and like push you into a chair, you know?
Sure. She would probably be receptive to that.
When you're a little kid that looks faint, of course she's going to try to help.
Mhm.
Not little kid, but a kid that looks faint. You're at least 7 years younger than her.
Yeah, she's 11. She's almost 12, but she's 11.
D is 18, just barely.
I'm 10 anyway.
But not only does that past story start to like fill in your mind, but it's starting to kind of like do that card shuffle with like your life that you're living now. Like some creative liberties, asterisk. But anyways, a parent passing away when you're very young, and the sort of distraught withdrawal of the other parent. There's also the fact that your very close friend arbitrarily found a sword that marked his legend.
Right? So many parallels in her own life.
Yes.
Like
So yeah, as it just sort of like comes crashing in, that there is a story that you have that is struggling to be told, because since you've moved to Brig and Fowl, you seem to have been swept up in a different story that, while occasionally your story does manage to choke out a sort of moment for you, you're getting pulled into these like Tiger Lily Nana moments instead.
Yep.
So,
You okay?
You almost fell there.
Yeah, even when she opens her mouth to speak, that just kind of rocks her for just a second, while she's still trying to get her bearings back onto her life here.
Maybe we should build her into a snowman.
Maybe we should give her a minute.
I got overwhelmed with a lot of stuff. She nods. Like, that's the best way she could put it right now.
What kind of stuff?
Memories, I guess.
What do you remember?
Arthur was my best friend.
Lancelot.
Oh, you're a knight? And he sort of frowns for a moment and is just like knights are usually pirates.
I'm not a pirate.
In the King Arthur stories, the knights are all supposed to be very honorable, good people.
And he sort of nods. Yes, like I knew how knights were. And he sort of gives a dark glare toward in the direction of like the front door at this house across the street.
Okay. Yeah, so Dee's just going to kind of nod sort of sadly at that, because like, for as much as she didn't like Finn, like, she didn't want him to die, you know? And
right.
Yeah, and she's just going to be like, how much do you remember? Do you remember about Guinevere? Dee's really worried that this little girl's going to remember cheating on Arthur.
Sometimes.
Let's see. What did she say she remembered about Guinevere? Just some feel.
Loving Guinevere and the
So,
guilt from
yeah.
loving Guinevere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She yeah, she'll say, I loved her. There's very like there's that sense of guilt in her tone and on her face. Like just ooh.
Okay, listen. Seriously? If you need to talk to someone, I mean, I know I'm not your age or anything, but I'm a little more grown up. I'll try to help you, okay?
She nods, and there are tears in her eyes just from like the overwhelming amount of information and emotions that she just received.
And Patrick gives like a comforting pat on her back, and he's just sort of nods. It's like, it's okay. I cried when I remembered Hook the first time.
Well, I can understand why.
Hmm. He hurt me real bad, he said, and his hand subconsciously goes back to his abdomen and sort of rubs it for a moment.
I think
this has been enough story time for today.
But if you have a story and Erica has a story and I have a story, who else might have stories? Do you think Agnes has a story?
Probably.
Ooh, what about Emma? Does Emma have a story?
Oh, we know Emma has a story.
Yeah.
Oh, she does? What story is that?
I am not. Guys, why don't we go out and throw snowballs at each other?
But I want to hear Emma's story.
Another day. We've had enough stories. We need to do something that will totally not be me, covering you in snow, because I totally won't win.
He just he just sort of shrugs at that. It's like, but these stories are awesome.
And I am a story god. There are more stories for another day.
And Patrick sort of shrugs at his ass, like, all right, fine, let's go out.
Erica nods, grateful for the distraction.
Which is exactly why Dee did it.
Yep.
Story time is over. That was way too adult for you.
It's like, well, welcome to your past. You just got punched in the face with it.
Hello, 11-year-old. Remember your adultery?
Right?
I know you never went to went to church, but it's time for the heavy dosing of Catholic guilt.
Yep, pretty much.
Hello, your formative years. Yes, this is a perfect time to show the guilt.
Yeah, everybody outright.
Yeah, she's gonna pretty much tuck her phone into her pocket, pull her hood up, and walk outside with these two, and just kind of be like, "If you want to, if your parents are okay with it," as she looks at Erica, I can order pizza later for us. And the winner gets to choose. And the winner gets to choose what kind.
Okay.
Awesome. What are we playing?
As you head out, you notice that while you were inside, somebody posted something on some telephone poles. It's an announcement that the circus is coming to town. And that's where I'm going to end today's scene. So thank you, players, for playing. And we'll see you next time.